Oh, there's a fire.
Almost one little tiny section left.
Okay.
Hold on. One more time. Did it?
Okay, should we spark some water on it?
Yeah, there is a fire in there right now. Oh, tons of heat.
So be careful.
Turn that off. Oh,
Sorry.
and unplug it.
Okay.
I should have done that before, actually, just to be on the safe side.
Okay. You want the spark?
No. We got it.
Okay.
Now let's
keep
just
that.
watch it. We'll just watch it for like the next half hour. Alright guys, what are we doing? What are we doing with this super dangerous plasma cut? Well, initially, I didn't even want a plasma cut near the gas tank because it runs the risk of igniting fuel vapors or something. So my initial plan for what to do for fuel filling was kind of silly, where the fuel filler is right here and then the outside of the truck is way out here and the tank is right there. So I was assuming like, well, if we can't move this, then I'll just make a little door inside of this bay and you put your arm in to fuel it. And I think that would have worked. It would have been a bit more work because I'd have to build a door into that underfloor bay. But the issue is that I was starting to smell a little bit of gas vapors actually around inside the house, especially close to here. Now, on older vehicles, their fuel filler is sometimes not sealed from air, and that's how it works. This is perhaps pre-emissions on large trucks. And so it was starting to smell a little bit concerning, and the concern then is that it's under your floor where you have your spray foam, and you'd think that you would get gasoline vapors accumulating, and then suddenly there's an electrical spark and you could potentially create an explosion. So I decided right then and there when I was smelling that inside the house here, working around here, that we got to move that. We got to move it so it's up against the wall and so it vents to the outside. And this filler neck appears to have like a rubber hose thing here. So it looks like you can just, if I were to cut off this metal piece, I could just move the entire filler neck outside. And so I'm either going to relocate to this outside wall or this wall, which is right beside the cab of the truck. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get that fuel vapor venting outside. But anyway, it was kind of a bit of a dangerous cut. I wasn't particularly concerned about a gasoline explosion because the cap of the fuel filler is on and stuff. So even if you had a bit of gasoline vapors in the air that somehow ignited at the right ratio with air, it would be a flash. It would just be a flash and there would be no more fuel to keep the burn going. My concern is that I'd already built this bay here, which is wood obviously, and with the temperature I will ignite the wood on fire, which did happen a couple times here. So what we did is that I had 2 of my drinking water bottles full with caps off, ready to douse the fire, and we had our hose ready back there, ready to douse the fire in case we expended these kind of these bottles of water. But you got to remember too, if you're going to do that, you have to unplug your plasma cutter before you start dousing it with water because it's 220 volts and I'm working right here, so it could electrocute me. But anyway, bit of a dangerous process, but it's going to make the house a lot safer in the long run.
And it's done.
And it's done.
Hey guys, in our last week's video we finished painting the side of the house, and we mentioned that this week's video will be about windows and doors, but actually in our painting schedule we actually ahead and then we have few days to spare. So Liam used those few days to work on the underfloor compartments of the truck to get the whole floor ready for spray foam while I was doing some video editing. And turns out it doesn't take him that long, and he actually finished. And we want to take advantage of this beautiful 20-degree weather in October so that we can do the spray foam and get the spray foam ready. So that's what the current plan is. And here we'll give you an update of how we're preparing the floor of the house to get it ready for spray foam. So follow me, we're going to go into the house and check out what Liam's been up to. We had this temporary ladder for us to go into the house.
Guys, here I can show you some of the underfloor elements of our tiny house. Now, why am I working on this right now? So we need to spray up the floor and get it coated so that the inside of the house is sealed up from outside air, and then we can continue to spray foam the rest of the house. But there's some elements underneath the floor that are actually going to be effectively part of the house. They're going to be part of the house's heating envelope. Now, one of the more critical of these is going to be the water treatment bay inside the house. So we are going to have gray water, obviously, produced by our sink and shower. And we need to, first of all, clean it well enough so that if we're in a remote area, we can dump it and it's clean water coming out rather than a bunch of garbage going out. Or if we're in a settled area, that we're tanking it, but not like throwing a bunch of sludge into our tanks. So right here we have ignore the table saw, we have this big thing here. This is fun. This is a water oil separator. These are designed for use in industrial kitchens. I believe it goes like this. So, guys, what do we know about oil and water? Well, they separate. Oil always floats to the top of water. And when you're washing dishes and cooking food, you frequently have oil come out as part of the waste, right? So what this thing does is, first of all, water comes in here in the inlet, and this little filter catches any food scraps, so you can empty this out periodically. Then the water and oil mixture comes into here, and you can see there's a baffle in here. What that means is that oil gets caught in here and water can settle out and go through here. And then this other baffle means that any dust or particles tend to settle. And so water comes up to this level and eventually pours out where it can leave the outlet into our gray tanks. Now, the advantage of doing this is that we're able to separate out, when we're washing dishes and stuff, you have food come out, you have oil come out. This will capture any food scraps, oil, and so the water that will come out will basically have nothing noticeable in it. It might have some soap residue, so in that case we'll probably use some sort of biodegradable soap. And so in other words, it'll keep our gray tanks really clean and the environment really clean as well. I designed the underfloor bay, however, to be able to service this thing, because this is so deep under the floor, and this thing could potentially rust, it could potentially become damaged over time. So this is completely removable from the space inside of there. You can quite easily maneuver the entire thing in, and then the gray tanks are going to have to be kind of smaller units as well that we can pull out of here. The insulation in the house is going to cover the floor 3 inches, and then it's going to come over here and coat the walls and floor of this 1 inch. And 1 inch of spray foam will reduce about 80% of conductive heat loss, according to the manufacturer. I don't know, I'm not a scientist. But we're just going to use a slightly thinner level because in the cold winter we need something to prevent the water in here from freezing. Our in-floor heating circuit is also going to run a couple pipes into here just to keep the temperature above 0. It doesn't need to be hot, but just above 0. Over here is the next important bay. Here is where we're going to have the battery for the house. We have space for about 3.6 kilowatt hours of lithium-ion batteries. So they're going to be stored in there, and they will fit just end to end inside that bay. These metal bays that you also see, these will just be insulated over because we don't need access to them from inside. They'll likely be for storing tools for the truck rather. So they'll just be enclosed from the house. But these things, when you open up a hatch in the floor, you will be still inside of the insulated part of the house. over here is another underfloor bay. This was originally going to open to the outside to allow fuel filling, but I relocated the fuel filler. I cut it out and relocated it to the outside of the house to allow gas vapors to escape outside of the house. I was kind of spelling them inside of here. And so I still need to actually plumb the line that connects up to there, but it's going to go outside. So in other words, this bay is still open for us for use, and so we'll have a hatch to access it. We're not exactly sure what we're going to put in there. Probably something related to the kitchen, food, pumps maybe. We'll see. A late addition in back is these in-floor bays. We had space beside these opening doors for servicing the HVAC system. And so back here we actually have these large insulated berths for storing food. We have one on the left side and then one over on the right side. And so there will just be an in-floor hatch. They'll probably store bulk food like potatoes, oats, rice, stuff that doesn't go bad. And because these bays are going to have only about 1 inch of insulation, they'll be cooler than the house, which is nice for storing certain foods over the winter where you don't really need them to be hot exactly. Middle of installing the solid sheets of styrofoam. Because the floor is open, when we spray foam in there, we need something to catch it. And then when we were looking at the prices of doing foam board or pieces of cardboard, just decided that, like, well, let's just buy some solid foam and slot it in there, and it will add to the thickness of the insulation and reduce the cost of the spray foam. So I think it's going to work, and it has a similar R value to the spray foam itself. So because these are shaped like I-beams, I'm going to show you on this one maybe. The way this works is really, really simple. We just cut our pieces of foam to the width we need, and then it sits on the one cap of the joist, and then slots in and lands on the other one. So simple. And then we'll just spray foam over that. It'll fill up all the little gaps, and we'll add another 2 inches of spray foam after that, bringing us to about 3 inches total. We'll show you guys a bit more once we're at that stage, but when we have the 3 inches, we're still going to have space above that foam between the floor. So that's where our in-floor hydronic heating is going to go, right in there. Alright guys, for constructing the slide out, we've been holding it up with some 2x4s up until now. So today we finally got something actually professional to hold it up. These are RV stabilizer jacks. I was looking at all sorts of things that we could use. I wanted something that was adjustable using some sort of screw method, because then we could get really fine adjustments of the height, right, and tension. And so we're going to give this a try. Let's open it up. Okay, here's what we have in the box. We have what look like instructions. Going to use the lift position type for stabilization at first thrust.
As you can see, on the floor was stuffed with this 1 inch insulation foam board, and they are ready to get spray foam on. Alright, we'll let you guys know how the spray foam goes and any problems we encounter in the next video. See you!